Oi, fala aí pessoal, bom dia. Você está escutando o Inglês do Rádio. I am your host, Foster Hodge. This is your daily dose of English. Hey, Alexia. Welcome to another episode of Inglês do Rádio. What's up?
Hey, Foster. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
I am fine as well.
That's great. Great. So, Alexia, today I believe is part 4, part 5.
I believe I can fly.
Yes.
I believe I can
Alexia's
fly.
obligatory singing at the beginning of the podcast. I always imagine that people are going to complain that in the beginning of the podcast, we just kind of talk and sing for like 5 minutes before we start teaching anything of value. But so far,
They
no
love
complaints.
us. They love us.
Yeah. And if they don't love us, stop listening to the show.
Yeah. We don't want haters.
Haters going to hate.
Okay, so
Again, Alexia is
today-
making hand movements in a podcast. So today we are continuing our series about interviews. And today, Alexia, this is going to be one of the most difficult. At least for me, I think this is one of the most difficult groups of questions. You ready?
I think so.
Okay. So, Alexia, a question that I always receive in interviews, or my students always receive, is some variety of what is your most important professional achievement?
Do que você mais se orgulha na sua trajetória profissional, né? Seria.
Na sua vida profissional.
Sim.
As always, I always recommend to my students, think about what the interviewer is really asking with this question. When they're asking you, what is your most important professional achievement? What do you think they're really looking for? This is just your own personal opinion. If someone asks you that, what do you think they really want to know?
I'm thinking about my professional achievement.
Okay, I'm not
And
asking you.
then-
I'm asking
I know, because I got lost with my thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah, I got lost in my thoughts.
In my thoughts.
Yeah. Lost in thought. It's a good phrase. So, we have talked a lot about how the interviewer, many times, he's not trying to, he or she, obviously, 2018, #feminism. Many times, he's trying to judge your reaction more than necessarily your direct answer to the question, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, what is your most important professional achievement? If you say, oh, I remember the day when I finally had enough money to pay for my mortgage or something.
That doesn't mean anything to him.
Depends on the job. It shows that you're financially motivated. It also maybe shows that you are protective and caring for your family. Or it could show that all you care about is money.
Yeah, but I thought that the professional achievement, like having money to pay your mortgage, it's a personal thing, you know? I would answer that.
Yeah. So that's an important part of this question is how much do you want to make it personal? How much do you want to make it professional?
Yeah.
So you can interpret this question in a lot of ways. And that is why I think it's so damn difficult. So, do you want to ask me?
Yeah. Foster? Hello.
Hey.
Hi. What is your most important professional achievement?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking. So if you always need just a moment to think about anything in the interview, say a good question. That's a good question. Yeah. Good question. Let me think about that for a second. You know, you're pretending that it's the first time you've heard it.
You know that when I was studying English back in Britannia, where I studied, my Canadian teacher, he will always say to us, if you are in doubt or you don't know what to answer, you always say, well, let me think about it. It's always this.
Yeah, that's pretty good because normally the other person will just say something because they feel awkward that you're not saying anything.
Yeah, but you have to be in the character, you know?
Yeah.
You have to be like, well, let me think about it. What do you mean? I mean something like that.
Yeah. Gives you some time to think.
Yeah.
My most important professional achievement, it's kind of a long story, but I'll give you the short version. This might seem a little weird saying that my most professional achievement is when I decided not to have a job. But to make a long story short, I studied in university and then I taught English for a few years. I worked in different jobs in technology and education as a teacher. And then I got my international business degree. After business school in the US, everyone is expecting that you are going to take a high salary job, one of those jobs that just kills your soul and working in an office all day. And I knew very well that that was just not for me. So this was like a real kind of crisis in my life. But after a lot of thought and deliberation, I decided that I wanted to be a teacher full time. So I started teaching. I moved to Brazil. I started my first company, which I think most people don't know about. But if you're interested, Alexi and I also have another podcast called Carioca Connection, where we teach Brazilian Portuguese to English speakers.
Por isso gringo tudo.
Yeah, if you want to hear Foster embarrassing himself in Portuguese, it's probably good for some laughs. Really, that kind of jump, that new period in my life where I decided that I'm going to be in control of things, that I'm going to work as hard as I need to, that I'm not going to let other people write the rules for my life. That is definitely the most important achievement probably of my life, professionally, personally, because it affected so many different areas. I would not recommend that answer for most people. Probably I would not recommend that answer to anyone. But it's the truth.
Yeah. I was thinking about mine. I think that my most important professional achievement was when I got fired from Porta dos Fundos. Só para vocês saberem, a Viacom comprou Porta e aí muita gente foi mandada embora nessa história. E eu fui uma delas. Eu trabalhava há 4 anos no Porta dos Fundos e aí me mandaram embora em junho, julho do ano passado.
English podcast.
And then stop. That I can say some things in Portuguese. So it's a context.
Okay, you can do what you want, Emma.
Thank you. I am my own boss. That's my most important professional achievement. That's why. So when I got fired, I didn't know what to do. And then Foster and we decided to start Inglês no Cru for real, full time, only with that and Carioca Connection. After 5 years working for somebody else and making other people rich and not earning anything that you deserve, nowadays it's really, really cool to see the things that you are building is growing up and making other people happy and teaching a lot of people English and Portuguese and sharing everything that we know. And it's really, really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Alexia had the courage to quit her job only when we were starting our second company, when I was already broke with no money in one company. So, Alexa, obviously we have similar stories. I think that this kind of story, like a big life transformation, is good in some context. Perhaps if you are applying for a certain kind of position that requires a lot of flexibility or a lot of entrepreneurship kind of skills, then that's great. Maybe if you're applying for a position at a startup, then this kind of story works really well. For most just typical corporate jobs, I would recommend choosing a really important project, the most important project that you have in your life. Tell as much as you can about why that project was important to you and the things that you did to help that project succeed.
Yeah. if I think about my years at Porta, I could say about Tutorial, which is the games channel from Totoro
Oi, Totoro.
that we created all by ourselves. Totoro, Gustavo Chagas, and me. That's it.
Yeah,
So I would tell them about it.
I think that's a great idea. I always recommend choosing a personal project, but really trying to create a narrative and create a story around that project. So you don't want to say, like, so we started the channel, we did this, and we recorded the videos. You really want to say, like,
All your responsibilities, what you done.
yeah, you have to make a story. People love stories. So, Alexia, this question is connected to another question, which is super hard. I have received it many times, and my students get it probably less frequently than the first question, but it still appears every now and then. So, this question is, why should we hire you? I've had 2 interviews where before the interviewer said anything, she said, okay, let's just be direct. Can you tell me why you are the best person for this job? And I was like, okay, I'm just going to start with my little pitch I memorized. My name's Foster. I was born in South Carolina.
I'm a very good boy. Everyone likes me.
Again, Alexia, do you have an idea of what the interviewer is looking for when they say, why should we hire you? In terms of your reaction, what do you think they are observing in your reaction?
If you know what to answer calmly and very directly. I don't know.
Yeah, I think one is, yeah, they're trying to see if you're freaking out or not.
Yeah.
Like, why should we hire? Why not?
I mean, look at me.
Yeah.
Do you know my name? My name is Alexia Souza.
Sabe com quem você está falando?
Você não tem ideia do que você está falando. Yeah.
So, do you have an idea of how you would answer this question?
No, because I would get confused with the other episode that we done, the greatest strengths.
Mm-hmm.
So I would get confused with that.
Okay. So, why I think these are different. Greatest strengths, obviously, they're observing your reaction as well, but they're thinking more about kind of your qualities, who you are as a person, if you're a good company and cultural fit. With why should we hire you? I think the most important thing is they're looking for unique qualities that you have, that you've thought about, and that you can articulate and speak to your experience to that no one else has. So why are you the best candidate? So for example, let's imagine that I am applying for a job at an English school as an English teacher in Brazil, and they say, Foster, let's get straight to the point. We have a lot of English teachers that we are interviewing. Why should we specifically hire you? Then I could talk about my background in phonetics. Very few English teachers are native English speakers from the US that also have a deep knowledge of phonetics that can teach students how to use their mouths. I imagine no one in the school right now knows how to do that. And that's probably why most of these students still don't speak English fluently. And I am uniquely qualified to do that. I've been doing it for 10 years. Look at any of my stuff on the internet. Hire me now.
You know that I would hire you.
Yes, Emma. You already hired me pretty much. Yeah, we're going to have a team meeting after this about who's the boss.
Again, I like to work with some scripts.
Yeah.
So if you can build a script for that, you won't get in trouble at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it always depends on the job. So, for example, if you are applying for an internship or an entry-level position, you don't need to say something like, hey, I'm the only person that can do this job. You know, I'm uniquely qualified to do this job better than anyone. If you say that, they're like, okay, great, whatever.
If you are applying for an internship, you always have to say, I am here to learn a lot. I want to learn how to do everything that you can teach me.
Yeah, in that situation, I would focus on the idea of the experience that you're here to learn and the idea that you're willing to do anything. That I'm here to learn and I'm going to work my butt off.
Yeah, just to make it clear, internship is estágio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people call it slave labor. Other people call it estágio. Cool, Alexia. So I think every time I say slave in the podcast, that is a good time for us to end.
Yeah. Okay. So we will continue with, I think, the last episode.
2 more about interviews and we're done.
Yes. 2
We'll
more.
return to the fun stuff.
Eu espero que vocês estejam gostando.
Senão a gente vai fazer de qualquer jeito. Tchau, tchau.
Você tá muito rebelde hoje. Tchau.